What's up, YouTube? How to convert someone to veganism. Never push them. Never push anybody as far as bringing this knowledge to them regardless. People will let you know when they're open and ready for it. Let them show you some effort that they really want to learn anyway. A lot of people just want to use it as infotainment, and you waste your energy and your breath explaining the truth or whatever, your truth, your experience, what you know, what yourself knows, to them. And they just wanted to get the info out of you just for the sake of conversation. So you got a lot of people that want infotainment. And I just, like I'm saying, you just never push. Just never push. Because if you ask questions, then their self will be, it'll force it out of them, within them. Because again, all true learning is remembering. Epiphanies come from within. You never had an epiphany out here somewhere. You never were like, yo, something came from inside me where I finally, grasped something, and I felt it outside of me. Like any of these things come from within. You feel love inside. You don't feel love or epiphanies out here somewhere in the world. Like, you feel it inside of you, and then you express it outside. So just ask questions. That's how you convert a zombie or somebody who is on a certain wavelength. Because if you're talking to somebody who only sees one spectrum view of it, one piece of the puzzle, then there's no point in arguing with them. Like I'm saying, we're all looking at life, or light, looking at this life from our different filter or persona. And you got people looking at life very close to it. Some people have stepped back to the point where they can see the whole spectrum. But somebody that can't hear or see the whole spectrum view, you're talking to them things beyond what they can grasp. So you're just wasting your breath and your energy. So you just need to be the example you are. So you will raise the overall consciousness and energy level of the people, so that when people do come to you and they put themselves in a position to learn, then you can, bring it out of them, help bring it out of them, help remind them. Because this is what we're doing here. We're reminding each other of the knowledge itself. I don't know why I keep forgetting about Black Star. Black Star, them, Tupac and Nas, they have like a good portion of what saved my life. Like, honestly, like Black Star, Mos Def and Talib Kweli, they, like, man, being like 7, 8 years old listening to that, it was a lot different than other people, my peers, so I couldn't relate already. But yeah, as far as the knowledge itself, we're all here as mirrors to remind each other of that. And you got people looking at life, or light, which is the darkness, the yin and the yang, the shu and the tef nut. We're looking at that, and people are taking it for face value. Just like somebody's taking it for face value, there's somebody on the opposite side of the spectrum taking it to the deepest of depths. Somebody could give you constructive criticism, and they'll take it so deeply that they'll think it's personal attacks or whatever. Then somebody will, in this case, it might be good to be shallow and say, you know what, that's constructive criticism. I can take that for face value there. You're just trying to help me. But some people will take things too deep sometimes. So there's a balance there with depth and shallowness. You can't stay on the deep end of the pool all the time. That's what my persona's problem is. Or can be, I should say. Being so deep, being a water sign, having depth and density, and being introverted makes you deep, bottom of the ocean, the crab, or the fish for Pisces. So, if you're more shallow, it's not a bad thing. You just have to find a way to balance it. So, when it comes to converting someone who has their own situation as far as balance, you just have to ask questions. So if they have it, it's a long life too. You have to ask them along the path of life, like when their ankles crack, or when any joints crack, back is stiff, hips are tight. You say, is that natural? Do you think that's natural, part of the procession of life? Do you feel as though we should be deteriorating like that? Do you feel that has no connection with your food and the starch you're putting in your body? Like, I was playing basketball with an older guy the other day, and he was saying how he's running off some beers, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so stiff," and I was like, "Ah, that's starch," and I could see it hit him, but it might not. He might not know, and it might not really sink in for another few months, maybe some years, but it got there. The message is blocked. It's going through a dense person, so it's taking some time. That light is taking some time to get there to him, but it's you can think of it as already being there at a less dense level, but it's on its way to the dense level, getting to him. So, ask questions. If they say, what about protein? You could ask them, do you think that it's possible to have too much protein? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that heart disease in the nations that have the highest protein intake is a coincidence? Do you think that osteoporosis and rickets and calcium deficiency in the Nordic countries is a coincidence between them and consuming the most dairy? Ask them in the question form. You don't want to be demeaning, because that pushes at them. The more you push them, the further you push them away. So it's all about asking questions. Because the questions will, as the teacher yourself, you will reveal the true answer. There's no way they can hide it. Their true self will refute them. It will refute the false self. They want to get false selfish, then you can get that question across, and then that will be in their mind. So you've tapped into that nerve and touched that mental Rolodex once you've injected that. And that's a form, you could say that's a form of inception. Injecting a thought into someone's mind. It's just at a dense level. So, or denser level than, say, a dream, or a dream within a dream, whatever you want to say. So, that's how you really bring it out of somebody. To make themselves, because when you hear somebody else speak, you're basically hearing yourself. Just like if you hear somebody tell a lie, you know what a lie is because you've told a lie and you felt that position. At some point in time in your life, you've experienced these emotions and these things to where that when you hear it out of somebody else or see it from somebody else, you might be disgusted or whatever you're feeling because you've been there before, and you're like, man, you're ashamed of them because you're ashamed of you. So it's like we're all mirrors. So when you ask a question like that, they're basically hearing themselves, and the self will bring that back. That question will make it cycle around their mind, and they might throw it in the back burner, try to throw it into the subconscious, but it's there, and it might torment them. But they'll have to do something about that. They'll have to make a change to where they can do something about that. So to convert somebody, I would just say ask questions. If you push at them, they're going to just push more. There's no point. And people's youth is what saves them a lot of the times. People will be in their 20s and 30s, and on the inside, they're in their 60s and 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, because their organs are being destroyed by their diet, and then working out on the diet. This crazy cycle they've created. So they feel as though they're in good shape externally, when your organs is what determine. That's a great measure of health, not bicep measurements. So you might have someone that is in the gym constantly, or constantly hitting the track, or in a sport, and it doesn't make them healthy. A lot of that has to do with their youthful energy being closer to the ether, being closer to the womb, having been out the womb 60, 70, 80 years already. So by 60 and 70, they're really like 160 on the inside, 150 on the inside, doubling basically. So it's hard to tell somebody that, because they're already being undermined by the substances they put inside of them. And then the energy they have is the only thing working for them. And as each day passes, they deteriorate more and more, and then they consider that age. And they consider that natural. And in an unnatural state, I guess you could call that natural. That is the result you get by living unnatural. So ask questions. Make them, because asking a question to them is just like them hearing it from themselves.